Hey there, it is Wednesday and we are back. I am so excited. I took a little break over the holidays to enjoy our families, and I know how much small business owners are busy around the holidays. So we are back live with Backstage with Cindy Rowe, and I have my first guest of the year, Jay. Welcome, Jay.
Yay! Glad to be here, Cindy. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. I am so excited to hear more about what you do. Um, I will just give a little history of how I have met you. Um, I know Jay from several years ago during the Million Cups networking group. We would meet weekly, and I really enjoyed that group. And then it got moved to a different location, and I feel like after that, I didn't go as regularly, and I was in a car accident, so there was a lot of other excuses. But nevertheless, we've stayed connected, and I am happy to have you here. Can you tell a little bit about what it is that you do? Now, we were talking a little bit before it went on live that I knew you as a photographer, but there's a lot more to you. So share
Sure,
away.
sure. So I actually have a background as a photographer and degree in photography and spent almost 20 years in newspapers, and then jumped in 1995 in doing work in the online communities. And so the second half of my career really has been focused on online communities and community management and moderation services. So I've been with several different agencies starting their healthcare practice. And then about 6 years ago, ventured out on my own and joined up with a former client of mine, Mark Wanso, back in New Jersey, and came into his agency, Mint Collective, and became managing director. So Mint Collective is a small boutique agency. We're primarily focused on life science companies. We do a lot of work with agencies, um, large pharmas, the small pharmaceutical companies. Most of our work is with small pharmaceutical companies, starting them up in social media. And so we provide the strategy and content direction for them, and then the social operations. So my partner, Mark, pretty much handles most of the strategy work because of his background from Johnson & Johnson. And then I handle most of the social operations, which is the moderation and community management. So currently we've got about 20 different social media accounts with pharmaceutical companies that we do work with. So we're about six people company, although we have a network of other people we work with, technology shops, other independent small agencies, through our connections and stuff like that. So it varies. Most of our work is typically 1 to 2 year, although I'm going on the 6th year with one client, but typically we're engaged in projects that will last 2 or 3 years. So that's sort of what our work is. Last 2 years have been, despite the pandemic, have been really good for us from a business perspective, because the pharmaceutical companies had to shift from in-person events and shifted all their money in the digital. And we were well prepared because that's the space we're in. We're used to working remotely, so it really wasn't any shift in work habits and stuff like that. Right. So things have gone really, really well for us over the last 2 years.
Well, that's great news, and same with my business as well. I feel like my client base, it was just we had to learn how to shift a little bit of our messaging, and probably my biggest hurdle was encouraging my clients to not stop marketing, even
Right.
though they couldn't open up their doors necessarily, that there was still a need for that messaging and to connect with their customers and clients. How do you work a lot with the content for the social media, or is it just the monitoring it and like
All of the above. So we'll do engagements where we're producing content and publishing it for the companies, and then we do a lot of work with social media monitoring and community management engagement. We're active on an Instagram account right now, providing engaging with the users and stuff on that, because it's a regulated industry.
right?
there's certain guardrails we have to stay within. And so we've got a lot of experience with that. I've spent endless hours with pharmaceutical attorneys, understanding what their comfort zone is. And that, and a lot of it is having one is experience. They want to know what experience I have. And I have over 10 years working with pharmaceutical companies, is a big safety net. And then they just want to know our practices and our procedures and how well buttoned up we are with things. So that's that. And it's a lot, honestly, it's a lot of it, our business is through referral, through my network, through Mark's network. We get a lot of referral. We're connected with another consulting group that's got, it's great. It has about 150 consultants in it, a network. And we pick up projects from him almost every year.
Wow.
And they vary with the type of thing that are available.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You had mentioned the life cycle of your client is a couple of years. Can you explain why that is?
Because they pick up and move.
Oh, okay.
They pick up and move. In one or two cases, the company's got acquired, and they basically shut down that. And a lot of times, it's whoever the marketing manager is leaves the company, and somebody else new comes in, and there's usually a shift to agencies. They bring in their things. So, our client we've had the longest relationship with, I've been through 3 different account directors or people to report to. And it's important to build strong relationships with them, because then you sustain your business over that. But I mean, agency life, it's typical to get 2 or 3 years. I'm fortunate now. I'm going on my 6th year with this one client. But we're in a niche. We provided really good work for them. We provide a lot of guidance and insight. Just not saying, well, here's something's wrong. Here's how we think should be dealt with. Here's where we think you should help anticipate problems, and providing additional insight and really understanding their business, and what the challenges they're facing, and being able to articulate that is always a big help in retaining clients.
Right. So your partner is in New Jersey, right?
Yes.
And you're here in Illinois. So is there tools that you guys rely on to keep that open communication, that collaboration, that like you would suggest any other small business that may have a team across the United States to make sure you have this?
I mean, there's nothing manageable. I mean, we message each other quite a bit. I use Slack a lot with different teams when I interface out into like different agencies that we work with or different companies. I'll go through and use Slack. Nothing comes to mind. I mean, pretty much standard tools, all the Google G Suite type of thing, Zoom, obviously. Pre-pandemic, I was going back to New Jersey almost monthly because it was easy. I'd lived there for 20 years. And so it was really easy. I could take the bus in the morning over the O'Hare and spend 1 or 2 days and then come back. And it was only like a 90-minute flight. Even when like Frontier Airlines would take it into Trenton, which is like right in the, there's a whole pharma alley in New Jersey, Route 1, and that where all these companies are located. And getting into Trenton, you're right in the middle of it. But since the pandemic hit, it's going the extra mile. I send boxes of oranges every year at the end of the year to clients, and they're real happy. I mean, be creative with the type of things. Use some old-fashioned, just standard social principles. That put a smile on the face. So the one client sent me a picture. She put them in this beautiful bowl in her kitchen. Was so happy because this is something that she really didn't expect.
Yeah, and that I love like any handwritten note, and usually I'll do that for like a thank you after a project's been completed, and the amount of people that respond to that handwritten note is crazy. So yes,
I
going
mean,
back to old school stuff, it works.
and I mean, some of the other challenges just Mark and I just, taking time off is critical, and we're real good at backing each other off so that I can go like disappear for a week and not have to worry about things, or Mark vice versa. So having that strong relationship with our other partner, and be able to cover each other and be able to take time off is so critical, because it's been I think a long haul. I think one of the biggest challenges through the pandemic is just dealing with the isolation. Because I
Right.
was used to going, I mean, I've worked from home remote for like 20 years. So like that, but at least I knew how to break it up, right? To go to the gym, to go to network events, uh,
Right.
go do stuff with friends during the week and stuff like that. And that all got shut down for like, almost 2 years, and it's still somewhat shut down.
I
So
know.
that's been, I think, at a personal level, has been more of it. I think the last 2 years has been dealing more with personal challenges versus business challenges.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. How how do you guys now you mentioned a lot of it is referral based. Is that mainly from the past relationships that you both have gathered over the years and in your previous positions?
Yes,
All right, cool. And networking, when we were
networking.
able to do
Yeah,
live networking, how crucial is that?
very, very crucial.
And is that it? So, are majority of your clients out east, or are they all over the United States,
No,
or
they're primarily in New Jersey.
is that typical for the pharma industry? I'm
Yes.
unfamiliar with that industry.
Yeah, I mean, there are some. I mean, there are a couple companies in the Chicago area. There's different. I mean, there's whole different segments like medical devices, Medtronic's up in Minneapolis, right? Mark had done work with them. There's a bunch of startup companies and stuff like that out on the West Coast. We've done some work with them, but our main source of work is in the New Jersey and New York City area. We have a real strong relationship with one agency that continues to give us work because they just don't have the competency to do community manager and moderation work. So they pass off us, and we've had a good relationship with them. But again, dealing with, I'm now on my third contact with that agency, right? So built making sure to spend the time to connect with those people personally, so they know who you are and what you can do. Um,
Right,
Always exceed expectations. You tell them you can deliver something on Wednesday, and you give it to them on Tuesday. I mean, it's simple stuff like that.
right.
And yeah, it's part of my newspaper background comes into that, because I'm really good and quick at turning things around because I put in newspaper out every day for 20 years. So
Right.
we learned not to let stuff rest until the next day.
Yeah. Did you? I don't know if we ever had this conversation, but I used to work for a magazine company. Um, it was my first real job out of college, and I was a sales executive for Nursing Spectrum, which was an all nursing magazine,
Right.
and we had press every Thursday, and we used to use the big boards where you actually glue the pieces of the articles and the ads and every of the pictures. It was crazy. I learned so much about the publication business.
Right.
um, but yeah, we did press on our own, so we did it all there. So Thursday nights were our nights to really dig in deep, and just like you said, when you have deadlines, you don't let things just sit around. Working with some of the ad agencies, they didn't stick around till 7, 8 o'clock at night, making sure that their ad was placed. They just assumed it was going to be placed because they already put the order in. it was it was fun, but I learned so much from there. And unfortunately, I couldn't grow up in the company because I wasn't a nurse. And that was one of their things. They were a nurse-led magazine. And I was just a, you know, college chick.
But one of the skills, that transferred with me from, well, several things transferred from my newspaper career over. One is to be able to consolidate a lot of information into one or two paragraphs. And
Yeah.
I'm real good at that. I can write really nice, concise three sentence cut lines because I wrote cut lines for such a long time. The other thing is the ability to analyze and look and understand what trends are. And that's, something that you really have to learn for your own, but that's always been helpful for me because I'm able to look at trends, help it interpret them, and then also then when I'm working with my clients, understanding their business and helping it to say, well, here's where we think things are going. Here's where you think you should be. Here's where you think you should be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, that's a crazy skill to have. Like I know I lack in that aspect of, looking at trends and trying to maneuver in the right direction. So kudos to you for doing that.
And the thing of it is, it was like I used to read column 3 of the Wall Street Journal every day. And you're probably scratching your head and saying, what the heck is he
No
talking
idea what that is.
Every day, the Wall Street Journal print edition, the third column in the paper was a piece that was about trends. They would write something that was not like news or something like that. They would highlight some type of trend or some type of opportunity and get that. And so, years of reading column 3 just prepared me to do that. And I still consume a lot of information. First hour or two in the morning of my day, I'm reading a lot of information across the
Yeah.
and helping interpreting that.
What's a big hurdle that you've had to overcome with your current company?
Insurance. So like
For your employees or?
Well, yeah, several things. One, health insurance continues. Health insurance continues to go up. I mean, 10,
Yeah.
15, 20% increased almost every year. And it's just something's got to change with that. We have to carry, because we're involved in online media, a lot of cyber liability insurance. So we've seen the cost of that triple in the last year. In fact, at renewal. It took us a really hard time working with the local agent here to find a new policy with the amount of coverage that we needed, because it was beyond. We're required to carry like $5 million in cyber liability because all the ransomware attacks, and most of the time, what's happening is these companies are being attacked coming through people like us, right? The outside and external vendors.
Right.
And so we've spent a lot of time just buttoning things up. I mean, we were pretty buttoned up already, but just locking down all the accounts, encrypting our hard drives. I use a VPN now if I'm outside the house on public Wi-Fi. I see it through a VPN or on my own device, stuff like that. We're continually tested for cyber stuff almost every month.
Wow.
So that's been a challenge. There's that. Just trying to not get buried in the minutia, right? So like I've got a great accountant that's really helped, because like when I came on the role that took over the managing director role, we were still doing everything ourselves, and I was like, stopping it. I went and found an accountant I work with really well. So almost all the accountant stuff it is shifted over to them. I still do the invoicing, but I'm gonna probably let go of that this year.
Yeah. Well, like you just said, though, it's minutia. It just takes up your time, so you're not doing the things that you should be doing. And I think that is a big hurdle for a lot of small business owners. We've got so many things on our plates that eventually some of the things have to get put off
And then
or delegated or hire a professional. Just like we say, hey, we can help you with that. There's other professionals that are talking to us. Hey, we can help you with that. I'm listening to that.
and then the other thing is what are we going to do and how are we going to grow? I mean, we've had a couple of successful years. Do we bring in another partner, et cetera, et cetera? We've had discussions. So out of that, we've decided we're going to start a new company. So, I'm working with my existing partner, Mark, and then we've got two other partners, and we've started a whole brand new company focused on education. So that's how we've decided that we're going to take the money and the agency that we're in now and use some of that to fund starting a new company and grow that way.
That's exciting. That was one of my next questions was what does the future hold for you? So starting a new company in the education realm, that's amazing. So more things to come on that. Do you want to share any more or not yet?
Sure. I mean, we've involved with G Alpha with the G Alpha program up in
Yeah.
Beloit. I'll put a plug in for anybody. They were a really big help in getting us focused and getting our initial pitch deck put together, and helped with that. And we've since moved on from that, but we're focused on providing mental health services to teachers. The analogy we use is, when you get on an airplane, you're instructed to put the oxygen mask on first and then give it to the kids. And that's the same thing we're seeing in schools. Exception is the oxygen hasn't been given to the teachers. That there's a lot of focus on social emotional programs for students, but there isn't anything really focused on teachers. I think there's an article in the New York Times, they expect about a third of the teaching profession to resign in the next year or two because of this a horrible work environment. I mean, a work environment that I think most people in corporate U.S. corporate jobs would never want to put up with.
Right.
I mean, just this just the challenges that they face on a daily basis, both physically and mentally, are quite extreme.
Yeah, and I live with an educator, an admin of education, so I know that it is real and it is needed, and taking away. And I think this is generally speaking about mental health is taking away the stigma that by saying we have a struggle is a weakness. Actually speaking up about it is a lot of strength. So I'm excited to see where that goes for you and what happens with that. So you
I
gotta
mean,
keep me posted.
the thing is an entrepreneur, lesson one, follow the money. And what got us into this is there's huge federal entitlement programs. I mean, Rockford Public Schools is getting $170 million, the largest amount of federal funding they've ever seen in 20 years. State of Illinois is getting somewhere around $3 billion in additional money to come in anything related to COVID issues, which clearly mental health is. And so there's just a lot of money flowing into this right now. So there's opportunity and need and funding for it. So it's perfect. I mean, all my years, it's like your greatest opportunity is when there's the biggest downturn, right? I've been through
Right.
downturns. It's like you've got to pick up and start moving fast, right? It was like once everything was shut down with COVID, it's like, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to pivot? How are you going to go out? How are you going to go after it? How are you going to take advantage? Because there really is an opportunity because things are so disrupted.
Right. So one final question, and then I like to give my guests a chance to push their business however they seem fit. But over all of your years of experience as an employee and as a small business owner and a partner, what is that one piece of advice that has stuck with you or that you would share with somebody that was just thinking about starting something new?
Good question. Uh,
I
best
told you I
advice.
was going to put you on the spot. I feel like I did.
No, I mean, best do what you're most passionate about. Right? I've always been passionate about photography. I have many years working as a photographer. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about online communities and the power it puts into people. And so I basically follow what your passions are. Is the best advice I can give. Network. I mean, I went to school at SIU. I still am in contact with about 20 people out of my graduating class, and
That's awesome.
that's carried through. And all, I mean, that support network has meant so much over all these years. It is keeping that network, and particularly someone that's starting out, I just don't think they quite understand what the power of that network where they went to school is, and it's pretty tremendous.
Yeah, yeah. Great advice. I love it. So tell us a little bit about how they can reach out to you if they're interested in connecting and networking with you further or about your business. It's
Sure.
all on you now.
So I can be found through mentcollective.net. We're really known for being able to analyze a lot of disparate information and consolidate it down and make sense and move things forward. So if a business is, I've done work with non-pharmaceutical companies that sort of get stuck in some spot, particularly around customer service issues, that around anything around Facebook or Instagram around paid advertising. I was really successful in running paid media for my photography business for these years because I could generate lots of leads and close them through effectively using Facebook. Um, just basic communication needs. If you need help understanding communication issues or problems, we have a lot of experience coming in and helping, coming up and creating the message pillars, message maps, getting alignment across the executives in the company, as to what like external messaging should be. We've done a lot of social listening projects, but we're very, very strong communicators. And so I think that's what our work is known for, and also the work on social media. But appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come in and chat with you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I enjoyed learning more about what you do, about the business. And truly, this is why I do it is that I may know you from meeting you several years ago, but we've never really sat down and had a great conversation like this. And who knows who else was listening that maybe picked up a nugget or two from our conversation. So thank you so much, and good luck with the new company. And please
Thanks.
keep me in the loop on that because I know a lot of people in the education community that would benefit from that. So
Thanks, Cindy.
thank you, everybody. We'll check you out next week. Bye bye.